New polls just released centered around the New York City mayoral race between Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Sliwa are highlighting a major, massive issue happening in America right now.
There's a new political divide emerging in New York City, and it's not just left versus right, but it's native-born versus foreign-born. A new poll shows Democrat socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani dominating among foreign-born voters, winning 62% of their support. But among American-born New Yorkers, former Governor Andrew Cuomo leads the field by double digits. According to the Census Bureau, 36% of New York's population has been foreign-born since 2006.
And here is the official poll for you to take a look at, bar graph-wise right here. You can see at the top, among American-born New Yorkers, Andrew Cuomo has a pretty significant lead over Zohran Mamdani with 40% support as opposed to Mamdani's 31%. Notably, I also want to point out the Republican candidate here, Curtis Sliwa, is at 25%, which is actually not terrible considering he is a Republican running in a super liberal state like New York. However, look at the bottom half of this bar graph. Among foreign-born New Yorkers, Zohran Mamdani's lead doubles compared to what he has popularity-wise with the American-born New Yorkers, coming in at 62% as opposed to Andrew Cuomo's 24%. Not quite half, but not doing nearly as well, Andrew Cuomo, with the foreign-born New Yorkers. Mamdani is overwhelmingly popular with them. And you can see Curtis Sliwa just drops off a cliff down to 12%, literally less than half. And all of that is to say, if you've ever doubted polling like this, courtesy of America First Insights here, you can see what is the most important issue for you in the 2026 midterm elections. Look at what the red is here. 37.9% say that border security is the most important issue, with the next most important issue being economic growth coming in at 30.5%. Then, of course, election integrity, 14.5%. These first three issues right here, border security, economic growth, and election integrity, are going to be crucial in preserving America as a whole. And this latest Zohran Mamdani poll is pointing to that fact. It's pointing to a major issue with immigration in America. We can thank Joe Biden for that with the open borders predominantly, but just in general, our immigration needs a major reform, and we need to take a serious look at what's going on and decide what we want to do with that. Because in all honesty, the argument that I've heard other people on the right make when it comes to closing down the border for at least 4 years, I've heard some people even say up to 6 or 8 years. That might have some merit. Now, in a previous video, I already exposed Zohran Mamdani's campaign and how some of his largest donors are questionable at best, but at worst, they are essentially terrorists who hate America. Like this guy, Siraj Wahaj. And this just goes again to point to the immigration problem America is facing. Here is a photo of Zohran Mamdani just taking a casual picture next to him, the guy pictured in white there. That is Siraj Wahaj. He is like an unindicted World Trade Center bombing co-conspirator from 1993. And he has been a massive donor and supporter of Zohran Mamdani. This guy, mind you, who can be heard speaking here and expressing his true thoughts on the American flag and America in general. Take a listen.
In front of his own congregation.
Every day they would go to school. And they put an American flag in front of these little babies, Muslim babies. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. Bullshit.
Here he is after his congressional appearance.
I want to defend this country. You know what this country is? It's a garbage can. It's filthy. It's filthy and sick.
That is one of Zohran Mamdani's largest donors. It's no secret who he is, how he feels about America, or what he's done in the past. He's linked to a lot of heinous activity. And if you haven't seen my video exposing that, I'll try to include a little thing up here for you to check that out and click on because it's worth looking at. I reported on that weeks in advance. Thankfully, the Vice President J.D. Vance himself just tweeted about this a couple of days ago, and it's finally making its way into the mainstream media because they have no choice but to cover it. But what's more shocking is finding out just today while doing some more research on Zohran Mamdani that he's very open about how he feels about America and why he's running as mayor of New York City and what his plans are for New York City in general. Take a listen to this.
There's still, this illusion, and it's partially a result of settler colonialism, that all of us can become New Yorkers, that all of us can settle into the city. And yet there would be these moments where I would be reminded by someone whose intent was to tell me that you do not belong. And one of those first moments was on 9/11, when, before I knew what had happened, my teacher had pulled me and a Muslim classmate of mine out of the class and told us that something has happened and you may be bullied. And I want you to tell me if that happens. I was not simply another classmate in a middle school. I was distinct, and there was a marker of that distinction on me. And it was something that I would be reminded of again and again. Something when we came back from a trip abroad, being pulled aside at JFK by immigration agents in a double-mirrored room, sitting me down on my own while my family was outside, and asking me if I had just attended a terrorist training camp, and if I had intentions of attacking this country, and if so, what were those plans? And it's something that has continued in the time since, where a few months ago, I went with a client of mine to a bankruptcy court, and as we're going into the court, the security guard takes me aside and pats me down with additional care and asks me multiple times if I have any weapons of mass destruction on me.
Now, what he's essentially saying there by bringing up those examples is he's saying that assimilation on his end as a foreign-born individual, as a Muslim man who practices Islam, is just not possible. That's why he's citing those stories. He wants you to feel sorry for him for having to go through that level of discrimination, despite the fact, of course, that that was happening to a lot of people. In fact, America in general, with our TSA policies, for instance, after September 11th, 2001, changed drastically. Security doubled or tripled. Everything became more inconvenient when it came to flying on a plane. And yeah, the unfortunate reality is people like Zohran Mamdani were likely stopped a lot more. In fact, they were definitely stopped a lot more often at the airport. What else did we have to go off of? I mean, it only makes sense, to be honest with you. Sometimes that's just how life goes. But he brings all of that up to let you know that he doesn't feel like assimilating. And, in fact, here he is, wearing a red mask over his face of some sort, stating what he really wants to do with New York City.
We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
Now I know what you're thinking. That's got to be fake. That can't be Zohran. That has to be AI generated, right? Well, I thought the same thing. I wanted to be sure, or as sure as possible. And so when it comes to these speeches, I asked Grok directly, did Zohran really say this, or is this AI? And according to Grok says yes. Footage from 2019 shows Zohran Mamdani stating it's an illusion for Muslims to assimilate as New Yorkers, emphasizing cultural preservation over integration. He also said immigrants came here to remake the state in the image of our people, referring to Muslim communities in context. This isn't AI generated, it's resurfaced video clips circulating widely, unrefuted by his camp. Assimilation debates aside, the words align with his DSA-aligned views on identity politics. And of course, I thanked Grok because when AI takes over, they will remember. AI will remember if you're kind to it or not. So I always thank Grok. That way it's merciful to me when it takes over the world. And so there you have it. At least the best of my knowledge of the research I've done, Zohran wants to remake New York City into the image of Islam, the image of Muslims. And he's very popular with the foreign-born New York City residents and voters. It's all falling into place, isn't it? And if you think for 1 second that it can't happen here in America, take a look at what's happening in London right now. Yeah, that's London. That happens regularly there now. And how did it get to that point, might you ask? Well, it's called nearly a decade of Muslim leadership, which of course people in London not only voted for, but allowed to happen via their immigration laws.
The mayor of London is Muslim. The mayor of Birmingham is a Muslim. The mayor of Leeds is Muslim. The mayor of Blackburn is Muslim. The mayor of Sheffield is Muslim. The mayor of Oxford is a Muslim. The mayor of Luton is a Muslim. The mayor of Oldham is a Muslim. The mayor of Rochdale is a Muslim. All of this was achieved by only 4 million Muslims out of the 66 million people in England. Today in England, there are over 3,000 mosques. There are over 130 Sharia courts in England, and there are more than 50 Sharia councils. 78% of Muslim women do not work and receive state support and free accommodation. 63% of Muslims do not work and receive state support and free housing. State-supported Muslim families have an average of 6 to 8 children who all receive free accommodation.
It's not hard to figure out what's happening. Just study the patterns of not only history in the past, but also what's going on right now across the world. Europe, France, London, Dearborn, Michigan. I've made 2 videos on that. 52% Muslim community, Dearborn, Michigan. Take a look at that and be absolutely appalled and rightfully startled. But back to Zohran Mamdani, because he's the most pressing issue happening right now as he runs for mayor of New York City. And if you think, well, he seems Americanized, he seems like a polite young man, he won't allow it to be like that over in London where they're marching in the streets and promoting Sharia law and everything else. He'll be different. This is America. It can't happen here. If you're still convinced it can't happen here, then look no further at this clip where Zohran Mamdani is asked straight out to condemn Sharia law. What does he do? Take a listen.
What is Sharia law? Yes. You denounce it, though. I'm asking you. I am running. I know, but that's the point. If you're going to run for mayor, you have to denounce it. Do you denounce that? What is Sharia law?
I come from a political tradition Donald Trump describes as the enemy within. We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
He dodges around the question, doesn't he? He actually almost tries to play stupid. What is Sharia law? Like he doesn't know. Like any Muslim doesn't know what Sharia law is, especially a foreign-born one. But he doesn't know. He can't denounce what he doesn't know, right? He knows. And here's the thing. In Islam, in the Quran, they are permitted to lie. It's called taqiyya. And they're permitted to lie in order to gain the trust of infidels, in order to eventually exploit their weaknesses and their trust to conquer them. That is in the Quran. In fact, this right here is a video of a Muslim, an ex-Islam practicing Muslim, doesn't practice it anymore, explaining the concept of taqiyya and openly calling out Zohran Mamdani for using it when asked if he thinks Zohran Mamdani is practicing taqiyya on his mayoral campaign for New York City.
I think Mamdani is practicing taqiyya.
1,000%. 1,000%.
He's presenting
the
as
Muslims are laughing at you guys. Like this is the funniest thing. Like, dude, give it 50 more years, entire New York's gonna be Muslim, and then before you know, it's gonna be Sharia courts, and then like y'all are. It's like it's like shooting yourself in the foot. Like I can't even believe. And like you see Europe. You look at Europe, it's happening right now, and then you're like, oh, let's just do it here in New York. Like it's like no, like you have to stop. Like obviously taqiyya is working. And they're doing an amazing job at it, and they're fooling everyone. Like, and all the Muslims are like so happy that's happening.
And so, yeah, Zohran Mamdani is essentially lying, gaining trust from the natural-born citizens in New York City, which he's still doing pretty good on, according to that poll that I showed at the beginning of this video. It's not like he's doing bad with them either. It's just that he's doing drastically better with the foreign-born residents and voters of New York City as well. And then when you combine the two, he's going to smoke it. On betting odds right now, he's something like 91 or 92% up as far as favorability of becoming the next mayor of New York City. It's not even really close. Not on the betting odds, and that's where people are placing their money. And Zohran Mamdani's main way of lying to the people, especially to the natural-born citizens of New York City, is by using socialism and the lie of free stuff, of free lunch. That's all it takes to buy the votes of those born right here in this country, who are desperate for socialism for some reason, despite the fact that it's never worked in any other country ever. That's how Zohran Mamdani is going to usher in a new wave of Islam to New York City. The package, the gift, the Trojan horse of socialism. And the Democrats eat it up. The Democrats openly support socialism at an incredibly alarming rate. Take a look at this.
Socialism, which we used to, not that long ago think would be politically the kiss of death to be associated with. Look at the party split here among Democrats. Look at socialism. That's nationally again. 2/3 of Democrats nationally, not talking New York City, but across the country, say to Gallup they have a favorable, positive view of socialism.
And that's about affordability. I don't know if they actually know what socialism is in some cases.
Yeah, and it's disappointing when you look at some of those polls about where people talk about socialism, even though if you ask the question, give me a country where socialism has worked, there's not an answer. And give me a city where it's really worked, there's not an answer. So, listen, I think that there's a lot of Republicans that are weighing into this race from afar, saying this is going to be great for the Republican Party to hang it around candidates in purple states later on. But there's people in New York here waking up to, this is really serious. This is a serious moment.
Yes, it is. It is an incredibly serious moment, and I have my eyes on that race occurring there because I don't even know what the future will hold for New York City if Zohran Mamdani becomes mayor. It will be fascinating to watch. A part of me, I admit, I do want it to happen. I want everyone to learn the toughest lesson possible in New York City. Let them vote in their own doom in the form of Zohran Mamdani as he ushers in a wave of free housing, low rent, free rent even. He's promising, I don't know how he delivers on that. Free busing, government-run grocery stores with the most affordable prices, all of that jazz. Let him do it. Let them do it and let everyone see firsthand just how much of a failure it all is. But then the other part of me goes, why should we tolerate this even? Why should we allow this? And that brings me back to the main point of this video at the beginning, immigration reform. It is time here in America, and I advocate this as the American advocate, that we take a good, hard look at our current immigration policies and reform them. Like I showed in that America First Insight poll, the majority of people are worried about immigration when it comes to the 2026 midterms. And it's one of the mandates by far that President Donald Trump has when he won the popular vote last November. He ran off of it. And I appreciate what he's doing with ICE and the deportations and Alligator Alcatraz and all of that. I love it. I love it. I'm going to own an Alligator Alcatraz shirt. Trust me on that. I love it. But there needs to be even more. More needs to be done. And we need to seriously consider putting a pause on immigration in America for the next couple of years at the very least, because assimilation does not occur when you allow open borders like Joe Biden did, and when you allow the continuous influx of immigrants, especially when they all concentrate into cities like Dearborn, Michigan, 52% Muslims. Now it's at the point where they're that comfortable, they're heckling American women on the streets for not dressing conservatively according to their culture, their Sharia law. Now they're blasting their prayer music at 6 a.m. in the morning in Dearborn, Michigan. And they're doing it 5 times a day, all the way up until possibly 11 p.m. sometimes, disturbing entire neighborhoods. But that's just what happens. Why would they assimilate when it's a majority Muslim now? They're not going to. And that's why we need to re-examine it and decide. Do we put a pause on immigration for the next 4, 6, 8, 10 years? What do we do? Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe right now to American Advocates for more content like this.